Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So with this spoiler season, well, it's kind of like a spoiler/leak season because this keeps happening. How is this possible that Wizards has this many leaks going on? I mean, it's like at this point they're just kind of handing out cards like candy. It seems like that. Regardless, again, with this is a leak. It is not confirmed yet to my knowledge that this is actually a real card. That being said, it looks incredibly legitimate, and the other ones that have been leaked as well seem legitimate too. So a lot of the ones so far have been confirmed, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Regardless, on this episode, we're going to be talking about the Balrog Durin's Bane. Again, a leak, potential spoiler. Here's my MTG.design potential version, custom version of it. There we go. A 7/5 Avatar Demon for 5 black and red. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each permanent sacrifice this turn. Haste. The Balrog can't be blocked except by legendary creatures. When the Balrog dies, destroy target artifact or creature an opponent controls. I absolutely love this design. Flavor, function, potential, all are there. Now again, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because obviously this is just the custom version of what you just saw in the leak, and this might not be real. Hopefully it is, though, because no offense to the other Balrog that we've seen so far, but the other one we've seen was kind of hot garbage. So I was hoping we could actually get a good one, and this one is really cool. Kind of reminiscent of Rakdos a little bit, Lord of Riots, with that reduction in cost. And keep in mind, this commander can cost you just 2 mana to play quite easily. Very, very easily to get this down to 2 mana. And on top of that, yeah, commander tax is not a problem with this commander because, well, hey, yeah, you got to recast it, let's say, for 2 more for 9 mana in total. You can still reduce that commander tax, actually, with that, sacrificing permanents or, having your opponent sacrifice permanents. Again, it counts anyone sacrificing permanents. So you can keep recasting this commander for just 2 mana a lot, pretty much throughout the game. As long as you're set up properly, you can just keep doing that. On top of that, that's a pretty heavy hitter. Again, 7 damage. That's the perfect number, I think, when it comes to these kind of things. 6 is just not quite as good because with 6, you got to hit someone, 4 times to take them out. With 7, kind of like the original Elder Dragons, 3 hits does it. Again, commander damage KO. Quite easy to do with this commander. If you've got, maybe damage doubling, maybe damage tripling effects, yeah, you can make that much easier into a 2-shot or even a 1-shot KO. And again, this is very, very, very difficult to block. Unless you're playing against, say, Eddie's Esga legendary tribal deck, yeah, then it can be easy to block because any legendary can block it. That being said, most players aren't playing just a ton of legendary creatures, and the ones that they are playing are probably their commander, and their deck is built around their commander, so they're probably not willing to just throw it in front of the Balrog again and again and again. That being said, when the Balrog is taken out, you still get a benefit from that. You can destroy target artifact or creature an opponent controls. That's fantastic, so flavorful, so functional. Yeah, a great kind of, you're in trouble if you do, you're in trouble if you don't. If you don't block it, yeah, it's going to hit you and take you out. If you do block it and you take it out, well, you are probably losing your commander in the process. And also, you're probably losing something else. Again, an artifact or a creature. Now, also with that, again, you are in black, so you've got a lot of feign death type effects. So yeah, you can just keep getting this back without even having to recast it. And so you can really use and abuse that death trigger as well. On top of that, keep in mind you are in red as well, obviously, so there are ways to make, temporary clones of this as well. So you make a clone. Oh no, the legend rule applies. Oh no, I've got to sacrifice it. Destroy an artifact or a creature an opponent controls. Can be another kind of nice way to do that as well. If you've got other ETBs you want to take advantage of as well, and we'll talk about, I believe, at least one here in a little bit. Yeah, you can take advantage of those, temporary clone spells like a Twin Flame, etc., etc. So there's a lot of exciting things that you can do with this commander. And again, it can be a very cheap, very aggressive commander that you can get out really, really early. And like I mentioned earlier, yeah, it's a very exciting one. Please, please, please take this all with a grain of salt because, again, yeah, it is technically a leak, not technically a spoiler yet. So, yeah, please, if you are interested in this commander, I will have a card listing in the description below for the cards I talk about on this episode. That being said, if you're a bit more hesitant and say, I'm going to wait for it to, actually be confirmed, that might be a good idea. Because, yeah, in the past, there have been leaks that, I said lakes, there have been leaks that have been faked, but this one seems to be very legitimate. If I had to go with a gut feel, I'd say, yeah, this one very much to me seems like an actual card. And Wizards really needs to get their act together and not just hand out cards, apparently. They're not handing out cards. Or maybe they are, but basically, the amount of leaks this season have been insane. Regardless, on this episode, like my other quick takes, again, I'm going to go through the budget buys, the cards that are less than $1, the pricier picks, cards that are more than $1. Let's start things off with those budget buys. And there are a ton of fantastic ones that can really help you out this new commander. First up, Innocent Blood. An amazing, low-to-the-ground card. Sorcery for a single black mana. Every single player sacrifices a creature. Now, you're going to set yourself up with this kind of a deck to have plenty of creatures that actually maybe even want to be sacrificed. You've got a lot of creature fodder that you can utilize. We'll talk about some of this here in a bit. Your opponents might not be so lucky. Your opponents are going to be like, no, my good, my best creatures. As it's like good and best is like, my guest creatures. Yeah, you can take out a lot of things. Again, each opponent is losing one creature for just 1 mana. That is incredible. Yeah, you lose one, but again, you don't really care about that. And this 1 mana that you're investing is kind of like a ritual for your commander. This is basically like a dark ritual for your commander. This is 1 mana, save 4 mana on your commander. That is huge. That is massive. Again, just at the get-go, your commander then would cost, what, just 3 mana? Assuming nothing else is sacrificed, just 3 mana. You could do this incredibly early. Moving on, Plaguecrafter. A bit more mana, but this one kind of gives you a thing to sacrifice. A 3/2 human challenge for 2 and a black enters the battlefield. Each player sacrifices a creature planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. So no matter what, your opponents will be down something. Again, either a creature, either a planeswalker, or a card. I guess if they've got no hand and no creatures a planeswalker in play, well, they're probably just going to lose the game anyway. But yeah, this is a great effect. And of course, again, since this is a creature coming into play, you could just sacrifice it to its own trigger if you really want to, or sacrifice another piece of fodder as well. Again, we talked about ETBs you can use and abuse. This is one of them. Again, sacrificing 4 creatures in total, though, that is a great way. Or sacrificing, planeswalkers too, I guess I should say. That would count towards the Balrog and help you out a lot. Moving on, Barter in Blood. This thing can be massive. Sorcery for 2 black. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. 2 per player. Now again, we'll have creature fodder. We're going to be fine. In fact, we actually want to sacrifice certain creatures. Now, hey, your opponents won't be so lucky. You can wipe boards with this. And again, your commander's cost reduction will be 8. As long as every opponent has 2 creatures and you do as well, 8 cost reduction for your commander. That means even if your commander's been dealt with once, you're still paying for that commander tax as well. Because again, that total cost would be, what, 7 for the generic? Yeah, a ton. Again, a lot of these sacrifice effects can be incredible with this kind of a commander. Moving on. Speaking of sacrificing things, again, it says sacrifice a permanent. Again, it applies to anyone. Treasures. Yeah, Brass's Bounty is a great card. Excited for this reprint. Finally budget friendly again. Sorcery for 7 mana. For each land you control, create a treasure token. This is just a giant ritual effect for you that you can basically kind of save up that mana for wherever you need it. And also, again, these kind of count towards 2, essentially, for every single one sacrificed for your commander. Basically, again, tap, sacrifice, make a mana. Doesn't really matter what it is, sure. That reduces the cost of your commander by 1 as well. So you've got 1 mana in your mana pool, and your commander's cost was reduced by 1 because sacrificing treasures, who knew, is a very powerful thing. And keep in mind, if your opponents are sacrificing treasures on your turn, that counts as well. Moving on. Even something simple like an Evolving Wilds. Lands that sacrifice themselves. Fetch lands like this. Tap, sacrifice, go get a base land to play, tap. Cool. Doing this reduces the cost of your commander by 1. To get those more expensive fetch lands that, you pay 1 life, bring a land into play. There you go. You can basically utilize that for 2 mana for your commander because you can go get a land that comes into play untapped and tap it right away. So, yes, Evolving Wilds is just a good low-to-the-ground example budget-wise, but of course, in the higher budgets, the more fetch lands you have in your deck, probably the better with a commander like this, because it's basically just a free mana for your commander, or should I say, a free mana reduction. Next up, hey, creature fodder, again, like I mentioned, is massive for a commander like this. Dreadhorde Invasion, a very good creature fodder engine for the right build. Enchantment, at the beginning of upkeep, you lose 1 life and amass 1. Now, I personally don't like the amass mechanic all that much because I guess it just does the opposite of what I like with token generation, and that's probably intentional, right? This one gives you a 0/0 black zombie army. You get a counter on it, and then essentially, yeah, you keep getting more counters on the exact same zombie army. So essentially, if you have a zombie army, you're not going wide, you're going tall. That being said, if you keep sacrificing that zombie army, when you amass next time, you will make another zombie army. So again, this, instead of going wide, is like, hey, do you have a zombie army? No? Okay, cool. Here's another one. And then so basically you just keep sacrificing that one zombie army to ensure that you can get another one next turn, just basically making this great creature fodder. Of course, there's another card this is very reminiscent of that we'll talk about here in a bit that is better, but this still is a great fodder engine if you are utilizing it properly. Speaking of a fodder engine, this does it all on its own. Reassembling skeleton, my goodness. This poor skeleton just hits the graveyard again and again and again, because you're just going to keep sacrificing it. Pay 1 to black, return from your graveyard to the battlefield tap. You just keep getting this back again and again and again to be sacrificed again and again and again for value. Yeah, it's a great piece of creature fodder. I am so sorry, Reassembling Skeleton, but yeah, you make a lot of trips to the graveyard. Moving on, you make your commander really deadly with Blood Mist. At the beginning of combat, your turn, target creature controlled gains double strike until end of turn. Your commander, for hitting for twice as much, is going to be 14 damage, right? And that is going to be a 2-shot KO on any player out there. This is a fantastic card. Again, your commander is hasty. Your commander can get down early. This can make it so your commander is hitting for double so early that, yeah, it wouldn't be surprising if actually you have turn 3 got your commander out, turn 4 Blood Mist in play, swing at that same player you just hit for 7, now they hit for 14, take them out. Yeah, there can be some very, very early aggressive takeouts with this commander. And yeah, one that is really, really fun though is Sarkhan's Unsealing with this commander. This is an incredible card for your commander because, again, your commander has a lot of power and it can be cast for basically nothing, right? Enchantment for 3 and a red. Whenever you cast a creature spell power 4, 5, or 6, Sarkhan's Unsealing deals 4 damage to any target. That's nice. More importantly, though, whenever you cast a creature spell power 7 or greater, Sarkhan's Unsealing deals 4 damage to each opponent, each creature and planeswalker they control. Hey, yeah, your commander has 7 power, you cast it, you ping each opponent in the face, you ping all their creatures, taking their creatures down. Now, there is kind of like a give and take with this where, yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a lot of those sacrifice effects like Innocent Blood, you might want to have your opponents actually have creatures in play. That being said, this can wipe out their medium to small creatures, keeping their big creatures in play, and then Innocent Blood cards like that are even more impactful by taking out their bigger creatures too. So yeah, this card can do a ton of work for you throughout the game. And again, when your commander's taken out, you already get a benefit from that death trigger. Now you get even more benefits from when you actually cast it again and again for very cheap. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting things that you can do with this one in the budget buys. There also are some exciting and very, very brutal things that you can do in the price your picks. Let's move on to those. And first up, oh my goodness. Yeah, this is a gross card. Dictate of Erebos. Enchantment for 3 black flash. Whenever a creature controlled dies, opponent sacrifice is a creature. My goodness, this is brutal. This is effective. This is incredible in a deck like this. Again, Innocent Blood. Let's just take that as an example, right? A single mana. Everyone sacrifices a single creature. But if you've got this in play, because you sacrificed a creature, your opponents each have to sacrifice another creature. So, yeah, they just lost, what, 7 creatures in total? Oh, 7. There's 7 that died in total, counting yours. Math, okay? They lost 6 in total, right? 2 each plus yours. That's 7 creatures that died. That can reduce your commander's cost by a ton. Again, obviously, the first time you catch a commander, that completely reduces it. The second time, even as well. This can just add up a lot throughout the game, wiping your opponent's boards, keeping them clean, and yeah, when they do get creatures, you can take them out pretty quickly to help out your commander. Next up, yeah, this card's expensive for a reason. Dockside Extortionist. There was some talk a while back about getting banned. Probably not getting banned at this point. But yeah, ETB. Create X treasure tokens for X number of artifacts and enchant your opponent's control. That is broken. There are plenty of broken things you can do with this. Just 2 mana. It's a repeatable effect again. Like I talked about earlier, you can have some ways to maybe make clone versions of creatures. Doing so would give you a ton of treasures again. And obviously, hey, making a ton of treasures is always just a great thing. And of course, with these treasures, again, every single one of them that you utilize for mana basically is utilized for 2 mana for your commander because that sacrifice, that is part of it. Next up, Wizards reprint Pitiless Plunderer. My goodness, this card was budget for quite a long time. Then all of a sudden people are like, oh, man, that's really good. Yeah, it's an uncommon. Reprint it. 1 for a human pirate for 3 and a black. Whenever another creature controlled dies, create a treasure. Yup, that's powerful. Hey, every single time you sacrifice a creature now, this gets really gross with a commander like this. Again, you Innocent Blood, right? That is a reduction of 4 just at a face value, right? Everyone sacrifices one creature. You've sacrificed one. So cool. You sacrifice another creature other than this one. You also get a treasure token. Then you can sacrifice that for a mana and again another sacrifice. So your commander's cost reduction in total on that turn will be what, 5? Plus you get a mana from that too? Gross. This can really out throughout the game, giving you a ton of mana, and again works very well with creature fodder, and you're gonna have a ton of creature fodder with this deck. And again, keep in mind, this does not specify non-token creature. Yeah, this is a really good card. Moving on, Revel in Riches. This is just a good card. Yeah, hey, your opponent's creatures are gonna be dying a lot, and this also can just win you the game. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you get a treasure token. Kind of like the opposite Pillow Plunderer. This is going to give you a ton of treasures. Again, Innocent Blood example. Hey, everyone sacrifices 1. That means your opponents each sacrifice 1. That is 3 from them, so 3 treasures. Again, cost reduction of 4 already. Sacrifice those 3 treasures. Cost reduction of 7, plus you've got 3 mana. Your commander is going to be free in a lot of instances once you're set up properly with this kind of a build. And also, at the beginning of your upkeep, you control 10 or more treasures, you win. That's very easy to get to. That is really simple to get to. This is definitely a target to be taken out for your opponent. So be careful when you play this. You don't want to play it if you're not ready for, all the targets to be at you. So there you go. Moving on. I mentioned this one earlier, kind of, or at least I referred to it. Bitter Blossom. This one is an incredible card. 1 and a black. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and you get a 1/1 Black Fairy Rogue creature token with flying onto the battlefield. This is amazing creature fodder. This is giving you creature fodder, yes, at the cost of life, like Dreadhorde Invasion, but this one is guaranteed go wide. Whereas Dreadhorde Invasion, again, you might not have a sacrifice effect or whatnot to actually lose your army so you can gain a new army. You might just be going tall, which again is not the way that you want to go generally with creature fodder. So yeah, being able to go wide with this, and again, evasive creatures too. You can swing through with your fairies, you can block with your fairies, lots of great things, but again, a great creature fodder engine for you. Moving on, Bloodghast. Yeah, this is a repeatable piece of creature fodder on its own, like Reassembling Skeleton, but it's even easier to get out. A 2/1 that cannot block. It has haste, sure, if the opponent has no less life, that doesn't really matter all that much. What matters is landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return Bloodghast from your graveyard to the battlefield. Very simple, very easy, very effective. Get it back just by hitting your land drop. That's all you need to do. You don't have to pay any mana, you just have to do that. And also, again, if you've got an Evolving Wilds, again, like I talked about, sacrificing that is fantastic for this commander. Yeah, that's also a great way to just get Bloodghast back out of your graveyard. Sacrifice, go get another land, get into play. Cool, there's some more creature fodder for you. Also, Nether Trader. This one used to be budget-ish friendly. Oh, I wish it was again. This is a really cool card. 1/1 haste with shadow, so it basically can't be blocked and also can't block essentially unless the creature has shadow. When another creature is put in a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a black. If you do, return Nether Trader from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is going to happen a lot because guess what? Lots of creatures are going to be dying. So there you go. Just pay a single black mana, bring it back. Basically a cheaper Reassembling Skeleton in many instances. Moving on, City on Fire. Again, like I mentioned, your commander works really well with doubling and especially tripling effects. 7 is a amazing number for a commander to have power-wise. City on Fire has Convoke, so again, we can have creature fodder to get, a lot of creatures in play. Tap those to convoke this out. Cost, a lot less than 8 mana. If a source you control would deal damage to a permanent player, deals triple that damage instead. Absurd. Again, your commander is now a one-shot KO with this or like a Fire Emancipation in play. Your commander, again, is really hard to block. If your opponent doesn't have a legendary creature, it is unblockable. It's going to be coming through as a one-shot KO, essentially. So good luck to them. And yeah, you could go a different direction too. You could go Infect. Grafted Exoskeleton's a really fun one. If a creature gets +2/+2 and has Infect, also this comes unattached from a permanent, you have to sacrifice that permanent. So again, you could actually take advantage of that if you actually want to sacrifice your commander to get that death trigger. Sure, you can do that. Or, if you've got Sarkhan's Unsealing in play, sure, do that, sacrifice it, recast it for cheap, and then, destroy your opponent's creatures. Regardless, the key to this is, hey, +2/+2 and Infect. This turns your commander basically into a 2-shot KO with a very easy instance of getting it into a 1-shot KO because it just needs an extra power. Again, with this, it's got 9 power. You just need 1 more, and then Infect, poison damage, take your opponents out in just 1 shot. Pretty crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to make the Balrog even deadlier. Overall, yeah, I'm really excited about this design. I was so disappointed with the original Balrog that we saw. It just wasn't very good. It was pretty awful. And again, when you see the Balrog, in the movies and whatnot, you're like, oh my gosh, it's like the most unstoppable thing ever. Oh my gosh. And all of a sudden you see it in the card, you're like, this is terrible. Why'd they do this? But luckily we have a better version of it. Again, I should say, hopefully Again, this has not been confirmed. I just want to keep reiterating that. Take everything I've said in this episode with a grain of salt. You might be interested in those cards, but if you're not convinced, don't pick them up. If you are convinced, and again, I'm pretty convinced it seems very legitimate, check out that card list link in the description below. If you're not convinced, maybe wait until, actually it is confirmed, and then check out those card list link in the description below. Regardless, make sure you're staying tuned to this channel for even more exciting quick takes and spoilers, and maybe and probably other leaks, because, yeah, Wizards apparently just is leaking everything these days, so we shall see. And with that, this episode is coming to a close, so let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.